everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to start a new vlog. I am currently sitting in a hotel room in Cocoa Beach, Florida, getting ready to go on a Carnival cruise. So I have never done a vlog when I've gone on a cruise before, and I thought this would be a great time to do one. And so I will share some clips with you from the week as we're on our vacation. We're going to 3 different islands in the Caribbean, so it should be really nice and relaxing and lots of sunshine and high temperatures, which I'm really looking forward to. What have I been reading? On the plane down here yesterday, I finished Lamentation by CJ Sansom. I was buddy reading this with Doris from Aldi Books, and this is, I can't remember which number, but it's the penultimate book in the Matthew Shardlake historical mystery series. This is a mystery series set in the time of the Tudor period, so King Henry VIII. Matthew Shardlake is a lawyer, and he gets up to a lot of things. He gets involved in a lot of cases. He somehow always seems to get himself wrapped up in things that the high and mighty are doing. So he has worked for Cromwell, and then he's done some work for the Queen. And in this particular case, he gets called in to try to find something that's missing. Something of the Queen's has gone missing, and this item will cause major upheaval if it is made public. So Matthew gets called in to do some discreet inquiries, and of course, as he does that, the mystery gets super complicated and more dangerous as time goes on. So I thought it was very satisfying the way that it ended, very emotionally impactful, and I just really enjoy the historical details that are sprinkled throughout these mysteries. It really gives you a sense of what it was like to live in this time period, because while Matthew is well-to-do in terms of he's like upper middle class for the time, he also encounters lots of people from the lower classes, and so you really get a sense of how normal people lived. It's not just about the kings and queens and the aristocracy. So that is something I really enjoy about this particular series. The mysteries are on the longer side. I think this one was over 600 pages long, so they're more of a literary mystery than a pot boiler or something like that. So I finished that, and that was from March Mystery Madness. And I was also listening to my audiobook, which is a reread of A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. That's a science fiction book. The first book in the Wayfarers series is sort of like cozy sci-fi, and I really enjoyed it when I read it in the paper copy several years ago. And I thought things have been really busy for me in the last couple of weeks at work, and I had to do a lot of driving. And so it was good to have an audiobook that was a reread, and something that was cozy in nature, so it was just a feel-good type of a read. And so I will be finishing that up probably in the next day or so. I only have like less than 10%, I think, to go on that audiobook, so I may even finish that one today. So that's where we're at with the reading, and please stay tuned for lots of fun in the sun over the next week. Hello everyone. I'm having a great cruise, but I'm not getting very much reading done, I can tell you that. I did end up finishing my audiobook, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and that was really such a fun reread, and it was such a nice respite from the world. When I was walking or just having some downtime, I would pop my headphones in and listen to that story of found family in the science fictional universe. And it's funny, and it's just a story about learning to accept everybody that's in your that you encounter, and give people the benefit of the doubt, and everybody learning to get along with one another. And it's just such a lovely story, so I'm really glad I reread that. I have been reading for a paper book the Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is book 1 in the Murder Club series. It's a group of elderly people in a retirement community that are solving a murder, and it's very funny. It is excellent entertainment. So I've really been enjoying reading this one, on the pool deck and on the beach and all that sort of thing. We've had a lot of water time on this cruise, so I haven't really been getting very much reading done. I've been mostly, out on the pool deck. We are in the Havana space on the ship, which is a space that's private to the people that bought the Havana grade rooms. And so it's a much smaller group of people, and there's a pool and hot tubs and, sun lounging area and a bar and all that sort of thing. And it's just lovely. I think I put a little video clip of it previous to this, so you will have seen that. We've already been to Princess Keys in the Bahamas, which was where we were yesterday. Did some snorkeling and saw some really cool fish and some other sea life. So that was really fun. Today we are in Grand Turk. So another beach day and some beach combing and that sort of stuff, and looking forward to that. So I hopefully will be able to take some little video clips to show you what Grand Turk looks like. It's one of my favorite places in the Caribbean. I think this will be my 4th or 5th time having visited this port. So it's really one of my favorites. So hopefully I will be able to get some video for you. I will check in when I have more to report. So I'm here to finally close out my vacation reading vlog. It is Saturday, April the 12th. I have been home for a week, and the week just was absolutely banana pants crazy. And I have, as you can hear in my voice, gotten some kind of a sinusy type head cold. And so I just never filmed the last clip to close this video out. So let's do it now. I ended up, Carnival cruise to the Caribbean, visiting 3 ports, had a fabulous time. It was the roughest cruise that I've ever been on. This was my 8th cruise, and this was the roughest one I've been on with the worst weather. It did not change how much fun I had. I had a ton of fun. Cruises, to me, are super relaxing. I know cruises are not for everyone, but for me, once you're on the ship, nothing is required of you. Everybody is doing all of the things for you, the logistics, the travel, the preparing of meals, the cleaning up afterwards. And so I just use it as a complete reset and relaxation. So that was fabulous. Unfortunately, I did come home to, banana pants crazy work week, which was not ideal. But before I got home, I did finish 2 more books. So let's talk about what those were. The first one is this romance novel. Sorry for the glare. I read it on my Kindle. This is Evvie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes. I had never read any Linda Holmes before. I had heard good things about it. This is contemporary romance. Takes place in Maine. A woman who has been married to the local surgeon, doctor, is in the very beginning, like first few pages of the book, she's packing up her things to leave her husband. And you don't know why at that particular moment in time, but she's packing up the car. She's obviously planned this out to leave when he's not at home. And she gets a phone call in the middle of this saying that her husband's been in a bad accident. He ends up dying in that car accident. And so the story takes off from there. She is a widow. She's living alone in this big house on the coast of Maine. And her friend says, hey, look, you've got this space in your house that you're not doing anything with. I think you could use the money. And my friend, who's a major league baseball player, he needs to get away from the spotlight. He needs a place to stay because he's suffering from a physical injury. And so he needs a quiet place to, deal with that. He's been, he's not going to be playing baseball anymore, and he needs to be able to go somewhere away from the public eye to deal with it. So this baseball player comes and stays in her apartment space that's attached to the house, and, romance ensues from there. So it's, about this widow who's trying to come to terms with the changes in her life, and this baseball player who's trying to come to terms with the changes in his life, and they both have to figure out who they are now in this middle part of their lives. And I just thought it was a great story. It's very, it's very minimally emotionally challenging, so it was perfect for vacation. I very much enjoyed it. I love the Maine setting, and I will certainly try another book from Linda Holmes in the future. I then read another book that was set in Maine, this one by a Maine author. I don't know if Linda Holmes is from Maine or not. I tend to not think so. I think she just sets her books in Maine. But this author is a Maine author, and this is Shannon, Bowring, Where the Forest Meets the River. I finished this on the plane ride home from Florida. And this is book number 2 in the Dalton series that she's writing, which is a story that takes place in this small Maine town in Aroostook County in northern Maine. And we are following the same characters that we met in the first book, only 5 years later. And so they're dealing with the fallout of the events that happened in that first book, which I can't talk about because that would be spoiler territory. But you're seeing the growth in some cases and the lack of growth in other cases in all of these characters. And what I love about this is the exploration of what it's like to grow up and live in a small town, in a rural environment, and how everybody knows everybody else and have for generations. But yet, even though you know people, often things are misinterpreted, there's misunderstandings, people don't really understand people's motivations. It's very hard to change because people expect certain things from you because they've known you forever. I mean, I feel all this deeply in my soul. I feel like I know these people, or I know people like these people. I feel like I have experienced many of the things that these people experience. I love the characters in here. I read this for not just the setting, because even if you're not from a rural area and you're like, well, maybe I don't like small town stories, the characters in this are fantastic. They really leap off the page, and Shannon Bowring is just addressing so many things that we have to deal with as human beings. And I just enjoyed my time spent with the people of Dalton, and I'm looking forward to the next book in this series. I hope it comes out soon. So I wanted to showcase my tulips again. You know how I like to show off my tulips in the springtime. And that's why I have them sitting behind me. So I hope you enjoy them and the fact that they match my shirt. I mean, awesome. Anyway, that's the wrap up for the vacation reading vlog. I hope that you're all doing well and finding some great books to read. I will talk to you later.